Say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right, thank you. Once again, we thank you for the co-creation of this interaction and the allowance you have given to us in allowing us to experience each and every one of you as one of the facets of the multidimensional crystal of creation. We would like to begin this transmission that has the title, Think Outside the Box. Now, we understand this has a particular meaning on your planet, and it doesn't mean that we can't also address the usual meaning you have given it, which has to do with the idea of expanding your creativity. But what we're doing today with that particular phrase is something quite a bit different. This particular idea is something that you can use as a permission slip specifically designed to allow your consciousness to move halfway between your physical mind and your higher mind. Literally move your consciousness so that it exists at a halfway point between the two. To begin to allow you to experience a different sense of balance and connectivity to both the higher mind and the physical mind, and to put you in a specific state that will allow you more understanding of how to be observing from a neutral place, which can serve you in many situations and circumstances in your day-to-day reality. As you practice this more and more, you will find that you will begin to sense more strongly the altered state that goes hand in hand with this particular permission slip exercise. And it will allow you not only more experience with neutrality, but more ability to connect experientially with your higher mind, to receive more clearly the communication from your higher mind, so that you can pass it along from your midpoint down into your physical mind and allow the physical mind to apply the communications and messages from your higher mind into your physical day-to-day reality to create more efficacy of utilizing the formula and the tools that we have shared with all of you, that we call the instruction manual. So, let us begin. Allow yourselves, as we describe this, to become comfortable. This doesn't have to be a deep meditation at the moment, but this, if you go along with it a little bit, will allow you to begin to experience this altered state. It might be a little, it might be a lot, that's up to you. But go with it as we describe it, so that you can begin to understand what this entails and allow you to repeat it for yourself when you wish. Are you ready? All right, so here we go. Imagine, if you will, for the moment, that you are standing inside a structure that you might typically refer to as a warehouse. It's large and mostly empty. There's nothing in it except one thing, a box. Now, you can allow this box to look like whatever you wish. You can allow the warehouse to look like whatever you wish, but it should be a large, empty space. There can be light coming in or not, it doesn't matter. There can be support beams and posts in it or not, it doesn't matter. But the box is the only thing in it besides you. Now, we would suggest, but again, it's up to you, that the box be made out of something clear that you can see inside it. Glass, plastic, whatever you wish. It can have a frame around it, but it might be easier for you to follow along if you can actually allow the box to be transparent in some way, shape, or form. So, Here you are in this warehouse with this empty box, this transparent box. Doesn't have to be too big, doesn't have to be too small. Something you could probably carry if you had to. Maybe a couple of feet on a side. But again, up to you. Now, as you stand in this warehouse, just stand there and start to think your normal thoughts. You think about this, you think about your day, you think about your life, you think about the people in it, you think about certain circumstances and situations in your life. You think about a trip you're going to take. Anything you wish to think about that is typical for you to think of. Your work, your play, your friends, your family. Anything at all that you have thoughts about, no matter whether they are positive or negative. Just take a moment and review those thoughts. Now, as you go through those thoughts, one at a time, allow yourself to imagine that you take a thought out of your head and put it in the box. Now, once the thought is in the box, it can look like anything. It can look like a light moving around. It can look like smoke. Whatever you wish it to look like. It can look like a ball. It can look like a cube. Whatever you want to represent that thought by. It can be different colors, different shades. Just see it in the box. Then take the next thought you were thinking of and put that in the box. And the next, and the next, and the next, and the next. Get to a point, whether or not you have a specific idea of your thoughts, get to the point where you simply understand and imagine that all of your thoughts are inside the box and you can see them through the clear sides of the box. Maybe they're in there moving around. White smoke, dark smoke for positive, negative, different colors of cubes or balls. Whatever it is, lights moving around. See that all of your thoughts have been put inside the box and you can observe them. So now, at this moment, you're not having any other thoughts. You are just observing your thoughts in the box. That's all you're doing is just looking at the box. And you're seeing that all your thoughts are over there in the box. That's it. There's no other thoughts going on. You're just looking. You're just observing. You're not thinking about the box. You're not thinking about the thoughts in the box. You are just watching it, observing it, neutrally, objectively. You may understand, you may know from a certain point of view that they are your thoughts, but keep it on the level of just observing them in the box. At this point, you are in a state of observance, just observance. The warehouse is big and empty. There's the box. The thoughts are inside it, sitting still or moving around. And there's just you looking at the box. That's it. Now, as you are observing the box full of thoughts, again, no thoughts involved within you, you start to move away from the box. Farther and farther. You can back away, you can walk away and look over your shoulder, doesn't matter. As long as you know the thoughts are still in the box and you're not thinking about the warehouse, you're not thinking about where you're going, you are just moving away from the box, just observing the inside of the warehouse, observing the box. And then you go to the warehouse door. You open the warehouse door and you step outside the warehouse. It can be a small door, it can be a big door, doesn't matter. As long as when you step outside, you can still see the box inside the warehouse. Just back away, keep the door open. You're now outside in a much bigger space. You're now seeing the warehouse from the outside, but also seeing the box inside it and seeing the thoughts in the box. As you stand now outside of the warehouse, be it day, be it night, be it warm, be it cold, be it dry, be it raining, doesn't matter. You are still just observing. You're not thinking about the day. You're not thinking about the warehouse. You're not thinking about the box and the thoughts in it. You are just observing the day, observing the warehouse, and observing that there is a box inside with your thoughts in it. You're just looking. You're just watching. That's all you're doing. You have no thought about it, no feeling about it. It's just there. It's just what it is. You know those are your thoughts. You know that's a box. You know that's a warehouse. You know you're outside. But that's all. You're just looking. You're just observing. And now you just stand there for a moment. Just continue to observe. Nothing more. And allow yourself now, without thinking about it, just to feel the state of neutral observation that you're in. At this point, you are literally in an altered state when you get used to doing this that is representative of being halfway in your consciousness between the physical and the higher mind. The physical mind is back in that box. The higher mind is somewhere up there in the sky. But you are just observing that you're standing where you're standing. You just know you're halfway. You don't have to think about the higher mind. You don't have to think about the physical mind. You're just looking at everything that you can see. Just looking, just observing. No thought about it, no feeling about it. It just is. It just is. It just is. And that's all that it is. As you practice this and get more used to this particular altered state of observation, neutral observation, halfway between your physical and higher mind, you can begin to experience knowing yourself more clearly, becoming a more transparent conduit for communication from the higher mind to pass through you to the physical mind, to the thoughts in the box. But you are just observing it. You're just watching the process of communication in energy coming from the higher mind, from the sky, from the world around you, and passing through you into the warehouse, into the box, to the physical mind. You're just watching this. You have become literally nothing more than a conduit for that information, for that communication, for that connection. You're just observing it happen. There is nothing to think about. You're just watching it happen. This will allow you to function more in the channeling state on a daily basis as you follow your passion to the best you can with no insistence on the outcome and remain in a positive state. Going into this particular altered state at the halfway point by thinking outside the box and not thinking at all, but observing, watching, just knowing, just seeing. You can then allow yourself at your own pace when you're comfortable to say thank you to the day, to go back into the warehouse, to say thank you to the warehouse, to that space that allows you this sense of removal and yet still be attached in the way that you need to. You can say thank you to the box that is holding your thoughts, and at whatever rate and whatever way you wish to, you can imagine those thoughts going back into you. If there are some thoughts that you feel you would rather remain in the box, that's okay too. Because again, you will know they're there. If you ever really want to reclaim them, you can, but you don't have to if they are not vibrationally compatible with who you prefer to be now that you have been in this observational halfway point state. If you decide that there are some that you would prefer to remain in that little box in the warehouse, then you can see them in whatever way, shape, or form you wish, fading, 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 until the box is clear once again. They will always be there to call back into form, but for now, let them fade. And feel the lightness of the thoughts that come back to you. Now that you have begun to see your thoughts from an observational, neutral point of view, from an altered state halfway between your typical physical experience and your higher mind, so that you can function in your life as a clearer conduit of information from the higher mind, which is a language of energy, which your body translates as passion, creativity, love, curiosity, attraction, and which it is important to answer with physical action. Because while energy is the language of the higher mind, physical action is the language of physical reality. And if you're not actually acting on the information, the communication, the passion, vibration that is sent from the higher mind, you're not actually taking a physical action to represent the fact that you have received it and acknowledge it, then you are not speaking the language of physical reality. And thus the higher mind knows that you're not really hearing it. And therefore, why should it send something more when you're not willing to act on what it has already sent? But doing this exercise outside the box of your thoughts, just observing them, just looking at them and not thinking about them, will put you in a state that will allow you better receptivity for that communication from the higher mind. You will be a clearer channel, a clearer conduit of your own path. And you will flow more easily, more effortlessly in life, as life flows more easily and effortlessly through you. So, allow yourselves to breathe this in and breathe it out. Make it your own. If your imagination decides to alter it a little bit, that's fine. But again, remember, putting your thoughts in the box is about not thinking about them anymore. It's just observing them. There they are, over there. That's all you do in that exercise, is recognize, there they are, over there. Here I am, here. Now I am here. Now I am here. There they are, over there. Simple observation is all that's required for this to take hold and for you to wind up in the altered state that represents the bridge and the link halfway between your physical and higher mind. Do you understand? All right. Do this as you wish. Practice it. It will become stronger. And soon you will begin to really feel that altered state very viscerally, very physically. You will know when you are in that halfway point. And things will change around you, sometimes in the blink of an eye. For you will be the center point of your creation. We thank you for allowing us to share this idea with you today. And in return for the gift you are giving us, I ask you now, how may we be of service to you? You may begin with your questions and conversations if you wish.
Hello, Bashar.
And a good day.
Oh, I'm first. So, this is what flow feels like, following my excitement, and I'm here.
Yes, this is what flow feels like, because every single one of you has a current in creation, and your current knows where you need to go. So just go with that flow, and you'll wind up exactly where you need to be, exactly when you need to be there, with exactly who you need to be with. Perfect principle of synchronicity organizing your life.
Yes, I've never experienced this before. This is fantastic.
Yes.
To the best of my ability, with no hesitation. Okay, so my question is there a way that we can really remember ourselves, our real selves?
Yes. That's why we give you the formula. That's what happens. It all boils down to a few simple instructions. Because when you follow the instructions of acting on your passion to the best you can, with no assumption, no insistence on the outcome, and you remain in a positive state no matter what's happening, what happens? You raise your frequency. When you raise your frequency, what happens? You become a more sensitive antenna to higher frequency communication and information and intelligence. When you become a better receiver of that information, what happens? You expand your consciousness. When you expand your consciousness, what happens? You know yourself more deeply, more fully, more truly. It all works together. That's why we give you the instruction manual. Almost every single question most of you ask us is contained in that instruction manual. By doing it, you will be more of yourself. And when you are more of yourself, you will know more of yourself. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Why do we keep forgetting our power so quickly, so easily?
Because you have been trained to. Because you have been trained to buy into fear-based beliefs that say you are not worthy, you are not deserving, you are not powerful, you are not confident, you are not trusting, you are not connected, you are out of control. Yes? These are the things that you are taught on your planet when you grow up in your society, from your parents, your friends, your schooling. But when you become an adult, you begin to realize, hey, I was spoon-fed something that I can't digest anymore. That's not me. I needed to believe it was me for a while because other people made me believe that if I didn't believe that, they wouldn't take care of me. They wouldn't like me. I wouldn't survive. But now, you're an adult. You can handle survival on your own. You can thrive. You need to find out who you really are. You need to let go of the things that are no longer you, that supported you up to a point, but which you no longer need. You're carrying around, most of you, other people's belief systems that have nothing to do with you, other people's baggage, so to speak. Your baggage weighs nothing. If you feel held back, it means you're carrying around someone else's baggage. Drop it. Find out what those beliefs are that are out of alignment with who you truly are, who you prefer to be. And when you bring those fear-based, negative-oriented beliefs to the light of your consciousness from your unconscious mind and really see what they say, the first thing you will notice is, more often than not, they will appear illogical, nonsensical when you really examine what they say. You will see right through them as a lie. And therefore, as soon as a belief appears to you to be nonsensical, it's gone. That's the end of the process of letting it go, not the beginning. Because you don't hold on to anything that appears nonsensical. If you do hold on to the belief, that means there is another belief that is making that belief appear to make sense. You have to find out what that belief is and keep digging and digging and digging until you come down to the fundamental, foundational belief that is holding all the other ones together. And as soon as you crack that fundamental negative belief, all the other ones will collapse. But sometimes a negative belief, a fundamental one, because it is attempting to perpetuate itself, like all beliefs are made to do, may hide under other beliefs. Allow you to think, oh, look, I discovered that negative belief, it's gone, now everything will be different. But you see that it's not. You keep acting the same way, keep behaving the same way, keep feeling the same way, keep thinking the same way, keep having the same kind of negative experiences. That simply means you haven't found the fundamental negative belief. Keep digging. Once you find that and see that it makes no sense and truly let that one go, then everything changes, everything shifts.
Agreed.
You will find out, generally speaking, even though there may be very many specific ways in which this can be expressed in your life, you will usually find out that the fundamental negative belief is some variation of I'm not worthy. And yet, you exist. How could it be that you exist if you're not worthy of existence? Do you believe creation makes a mistake? It doesn't. Nothing is pointless within existence. It exists for a reason. So if you exist, just to put it in colloquial language, existence must need you to exist in order for it to be complete unto itself. Because if it really didn't need you, you wouldn't exist. Therefore, you are worthy by the fact that you exist, and you don't need another reason to be worthy. If you start to believe that you are unworthy and keep believing that you are unworthy, you are arguing with creation about your worth. You will never, ever win that argument. Ever. Because you cannot cease to exist. You may change form, but you, the you that is you, the reflection of all that is your perspective, your unique consciousness, cannot cease to exist. Why? Because by definition, there's nowhere for you to go. Non-existence, by definition, doesn't exist. Think about it. That's the quality of non-existence, to not exist. It doesn't exist. That's its quality. So if you exist, you can't become non-existent because non-existence doesn't exist. There's nowhere for you to go. So you are worthy because you exist. Is this making some sense to you?
I am feeling all of these things. I feel these almost like I'm a hive, and the hive is splitting in some way. And so I'm just going the right direction, and
if you're being you,
I'm
yes.
definitely being me for the first time in my life. Just me, not carrying other people's baggage, but still on the same journey.
Well, yes, on the journey of being you. You see, that's actually your purpose in life, all of you. To be you, as fully as you can be. You may express that purpose in a number of ways, but those are the expressions of your purpose. Your purpose is to be you. That's it. Simple. Don't overthink it. Don't overcomplicate it. Just be you. Even though most of you have been taught to do this, the hardest thing to do is to be someone you're not. The easiest thing is to be you. All the pain, all the struggle, all the strife, all the difficulty comes from trying to be someone you're not. All of it. When you start to go with your flow, as we talked about, that's your current, it becomes effortless. It becomes automatic. It becomes joyful. It becomes creative. It becomes loving. It becomes fulfilling. Because all those things are automatically contained in the automatic guidance system that goes with being yourself, that's built in. Surrender is not giving up control. Surrender is surrendering to the control that's already built into you. Go with the flow. That's all you have to do. Of course, if you're really excited about overcomplicating it, I'm not going to stop you. Because if that's your joy, then that's your joy. If that's your path, then that's your path. But you get to decide. The greatest freedom all of you have is the ability to choose. So choose. Is this helping?
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much.
You are very welcome.
Thank you for being my friend. Nice to meet you.
And you as well.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
My question is about Europe, because I think there are also some fans from Europe. And I didn't find many information on vortices and energy points in Europe. Can you maybe tell some hotspots?
Well, I think you already know of some, certainly. Such places as The stone circles? Yes?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Well, there are many stone circles throughout Europe that are marking different places of high energy vortices. There are certain places that are famous for a reason, because people are attracted to the vortices and then build major cities there, such as Paris. The Eiffel Tower is literally at the center of a vortex. That's why these things get put where they get put, because whether it's conscious or unconscious or instinctual, you gravitate to where that energy is and create representations that demark them. So quite often you will find that the most, shall we say, observable or sacred, or sometimes the most mysterious edifices are usually placed somewhere within a vortex. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Does that help?
Yes. Some
But-
travel points.
Well, obviously, sometimes there are also mountains that will serve as indications of strong energy upwellings and vortices on your planet. What you call Vesuvius is one, very strong vortex. The island of Crete is another major vortex in the Mediterranean, especially the Temple of Knossos. You follow?
Yes.
All right. One moment. The region occupied by what you call the Basque people is a very particular kind of vortex that connects to certain ancient lineages going back to Atlantean times very powerfully. Many times where in England the crop circles form, other major vortices are there. The Isle of Man is an extremely powerful vortex that has to do with the opening of mysteries. And there are many others. But you can find the rest by using your senses and being attracted to places, and that will tell you that there's some energy there for you. Anything else?
Yes, thank you. Is there any particular very strong point, because there's like all over the place in Sedona, a nice vortex to visit for cosmic energies?
Bell Rock is the center of the vortex that covers all of Sedona.
Okay,
That's why my ship is above it.
good to know.
Does that help?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Are there any other beings beside my higher self that want to make a message now?
You are being given the messages that you need to be given through this conversation.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
I would like to thank you for last night's dream and the downloads over the last few days.
Yes.
And my question pertains to an energetic system that I've been getting downloaded with over the last year and a half, which I'm coming to understand as being Maitreya consciousness.
All right. You are working with that particular archetypal consciousness then.
Yes.
All right.
And
And so that's your permission slip at this moment.
it is.
All right.
And my question pertains to what elements I might be missing in regards to this energetic system. In my current understanding, it deals with aligning the pineal, the heart, and the base, and the crystals within the blood, and our glands with those within the earth, which then
Yes.
align with the sun, all the other suns, and the great central sun.
All right. Does that system work for you?
It seems to. However, I'm curious if there are any elements of this system that I am missing, or if there's anything that you can inform me of that would help me to deepen in my understanding of it.
All right. I can ask you a question that may help.
Certainly.
Are there any of the elements you have mentioned that you feel you can do without? Can you simplify the system for yourself?
Well, one of the elements here is it's not just for myself, it's for humanity. And so I'm trying to deepen in my understanding of it so it becomes translatable to others.
Yes, but that's not an answer to the question we asked you.
Okay.
Is there any element that you mentioned that you feel you can do without in that system? That by dropping one of the elements you mentioned, does the system feel a little bit more streamlined, a little bit more powerful to you? Is there such an element?
Potentially the crystals in the blood?
Is that a question or a statement?
Well, I'm not clear of the answer that I have.
Why did you pick those?
Because I'm not as connected with the crystals in the blood as I am with the energies in my base, heart, and pineal.
Then you have answered the question. Drop the elements that don't completely make sense or work for you. The elements you're working with in a permission slip must be crystal clear. No pun intended. All right, a little bit of a pun intended.
Nice.
But the point is, from our perspective, it would actually be more beneficial for you to streamline the permission slip rather than say, is there something missing? There actually needs to be something missing, so that it will work more efficiently for you rather than being overloaded with elements that don't quite make sense and work for you. So take some time to examine it. It's all right if that's your permission slip, but take some time to examine it and see if there's anything you can kind of let go of or merge together into something that makes more sense as a single element rather than two or three, and see if that feels more powerful to you.
Okay.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
That's our suggestion.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I like that.
All right. Anything else?
Yeah. So I've been surrendering to some feelings, some knowings in my soul, in my heart.
All right.
And one of these elements pertains to a possible death of some layers of consciousness. And,
Death of layers of consciousness?
Mm-hmm. Ego, if you will.
Well, you can't get rid of the ego until you're dead.
Okay.
Literally, physically dead. You can allow yourself to experience the ego in a neutral way, the way it was designed to work. It doesn't have to be the negative ego. That you can certainly let go of. But you can't let go of the ego structure or you'll have no personality. You will just be a shell.
So is that how you define the ego as personality?
In a sense, it's the physical persona that you are pretending to be in order to have a physical experience. We often use the analogy of a diving mask. If you're going diving in the ocean, things will look a little murky to you unless you put on a diving mask to make things clear. The ego structure, the personality structure, is the diving mask that you put on to go diving into the idea of experiencing physical reality. The ego's job, the physical personality's job, is just to make what you're experiencing clearer. That's it. It doesn't have the power to decide where you should go, how things should work out, or any of that. In the same way that a diving mask doesn't tell you, go there and look at that fish now. Now go over there and look at that piece of coral. Oh, look at that. There's a shark coming your way. Isn't that wonderful? I think you should swim this way. The diving mask does none of that. You decide where to go. You decide what to look at. The diving mask just makes it clearer. That's all its job is, to allow you to experience what's happening right now. The higher mind knows what needs to happen, and the higher mind will guide you. But the ego is just there to allow you to have what you call the physical dream. Make sense?
It does. So then how did Jesus see all of this then?
Say that again.
So how did Jesus see all of this then?
How did Jesus?
He surrendered to the depth of his soul within his heart.
No, not really.
What
That's a
was
misinterpretation.
What's your interpretation then?
He surrendered to being his greater self.
Mm-hmm.
That's very different. That's actually becoming more of your soul. Yes?
Okay.
That's expressing more of your heart. Does that make sense? You understand that physical reality is literally just a dream that your spirit is having? Literally. You have never left spirit. None of you have. That's your natural state. You're there right now. You are in spirit right now. You are dreaming that you're not. That's what physical reality is. So the entity that you call Jesus simply understood that and therefore expanded the consciousness beyond the physical parameters to a certain point, to allow a fuller expression of his total being and the being of all that is to come through as all of you can do. That's actually what he was teaching. Not about the idea of creating Christianity per se, but that you are all Christ's. And therefore, what he exhibited, you can exhibit. In fact, that's actually still in your Bible as a quote from him. Greater things than I have done will you do. How could that be if you are not also capable of becoming a Christ? Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
It does.
All right. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, for the most part. For the most part.
What part didn't it answer?
There's something inside of me, deep in there, that
Yes.
I'm starting to get in touch with, the more I view the world through it and connect with it and start to express it,
Yes.
it's creating more questions and a lot more deep answers.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's your greater self.
Yeah.
That's you connecting to your greater self and allowing more of it through. Mm-hmm. Yes. Of course. Mm-hmm. That's how it works. The more you become, the more can come through you. Yes?
Yes.
Does that help?
It does.
Did that leave any part out?
No.
Are you sure?
No.
All right. That's fine.
Yeah.
Please continue your journey and
Yeah.
have fun.
Yes, that's my sense right now.
All
Exactly.
right. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you.
So she's from Japan, so she doesn't speak English, so I go translate for.
Are you sure you speak English?
Yes.
No offense. Please continue.
日本から来ました、小林真澄と申します。日本語で先に質問させていただいて、英語に変えていただきますので、一緒に日本の方も聞いていただければと思います。質問が2つあります。
So I'm from Japan, so I speak Japanese first, then I have two questions here.
はい、そうです。
数ヶ月前に、ロスのセッションで日本に向けた緊急メッセージを、バシャールからいただいたと思うんですが、
And a couple months ago, so from the Los Angeles session, so you gave the Japanese people the emergency message.
Yes.
たくさんの仲間たちが、期日前投票に行くということに、行動を移しました。その後、日本はどのような流れになっているのか教えてください。
So we spread your message to go to the election, before the election, so try to do the action. So after that, what you can see in Japan, it's going to be changed.
Is that a question or a statement?
It's a question.
Remember that you do what you do to act on your passion without needing the outside to change.
So it means it's already changing.
It means you will see the change when you change yourself to the point where you don't need to see the change.
Thank you.
わかりますか?
わかります。
Yes, I understand.
And your second question?
So many people told me, so you told 2020, the gate is going to be closed. And the one is going to down, one is going to up. It is true story. And many people are scared what's going to happen.
If you are scared, then obviously you will connect yourself to a negative reality. If you are not scared, then obviously you will connect yourself to a positive reality. The choice is in your hands. It's not about what's going to happen. It's about what are you going to be. And that will determine what you experience, no matter what is happening.
So we are wondering how the situation in Japan, it's getting better, or it's so-so, or it's going too bad?
We didn't understand a word you just said. Can you please pronounce more clearly? We're speaking to the translator.
So we want to know about the Japanese government.
What about it? It's your government.
So it's
Go ask them what you want to know.
政治家にその質問をしてください。
では、私自身の見えている世界が変われば、世界も変わるということを理解していいですか？
So you mean that if my vision gonna be changed, so around us gonna be changed?
When you change yourself, you shift to another version of Earth that is already more representative of the change you've made in yourself. You never change the world you're on. You go to a different Earth. So just be focused on changing yourself, and you will experience change around you. But not because the world you were on has changed, because you've gone to a different world that was already that way. Does that make sense to you? Do you understand what we're saying?
Yes. I understand.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
It's a pleasure to be here.
It is our passion and our pleasure to interact with all of you as well.
So my question is relating to the transition from third density to fourth density.
Which you are all in the middle of right now.
So in that transition, time should increasingly become more nonlinear, correct?
Yes, it's one of the side effects. Because since space and time are projections of your consciousness anyway, you will find that as you expand your consciousness, going from third to fourth density, space and time will become more flexible, more malleable, more nonlinear, where it needs to be. It will retain some of its linearity so that you won't go spinning off into another dimension that you don't want to be in. But the idea is that it will become far more flexible, yes.
So that would mean that one would experience cause and effect almost instantaneously.
One could,
So
more often, yes.
Hypothetically, if I were to drop my phone now, I might
Again,
experience...
whatever process is necessary will be there, but you can reduce the time frame, and sometimes it can appear to be almost instantaneous. But if it isn't, then that process may be necessary to allow you a deeper appreciation of what it is you're experiencing by going through that process.
Okay. So hypothetically, I could experience being the age I am now,
Yes?
doing something, and immediately be a different age at a different time in my life.
In a sense, this is what we do when we're speaking with all of you. Sometimes in these conversations, you may be speaking to the 50-year-old version of me. The next moment, you may be speaking to the 137-year-old version of me, because our consciousness shifts up and down what you call our timeline, going to where we access the information we need to answer you, which we may not have at 50, but will have at 137, for example.
And then from your perspective, are you seeing that transition linearly? Are you experiencing being 50 and then immediately being 120?
In our reality, yes, we have evolved to the point where that can be an instantaneous transition for us. We are now involved with different kinds of processes and don't need that particular kind of process to take any time at all. Yes?
What vibrational frequency does that begin to occur at?
Somewhere around the 200,000 cycle per second frequency and up.
And how old are you right now?
158.
Fantastic.
Does that help?
Yeah, so I am very interested in what occurs after that as well.
After what?
After the experience of being, able to transition to different ages, 50 and then 150.
Well, many different things. You can start exploring all sorts of other dimensions of consciousness, other kinds of realities, so on and so forth.
So would the next step be different timelines, or would it immediately jump to different incarnations?
Well, that's really up to you. That's a choice. It's not an automatic thing. You have to make a choice.
Interesting.
But you will have the ability to make different kinds of choices. When you arrive on certain levels, you become aware of what the choices are that have become available to you on that level that you may not be aware of now because you're not the vibration of that level. So why should you be aware of it?
Got it, okay.
It's not relevant. But when you get to that level, everything that's relevant becomes known, becomes available. Yes?
Yes.
Does that help?
Extremely.
All right, anything else?
Yeah, I'm wondering what the vibrational frequency of New York City is.
The entire city?
Well, I guess the average.
Well, I'm going to give you a range. How's that?
Okay, that's great.
It generally, on average, not that there aren't exceptions, both up and down, on average, it vibrates somewhere between 65,000 to 138,000 cycles per second. On average. But there are moments when it goes much higher, and there are moments when it goes much lower. And there are moments when certain individuals can go beyond the general consensus and operate on a much higher frequency, which is often the case. Many individuals will usually go beyond the bubble reality that they came from first. When you look at the idea of great change that has taken place on your planet, great discoveries, great revelations, how many of them have happened with anything but an individual? Yes? But that individual can lead the way until the bubble catches up.
So then it sounds like there wouldn't be necessarily any benefit to living in the wilderness or in an area where the vibrational frequency
That depends on the person. You have to take it on a case-by-case basis. It might work for some, it might not work for others, depending upon where they are in their path. In general, nature can provide an opportunity and an option for functioning at a higher level. But again, it depends upon why the individual might choose to be in nature. Because again, anything can be positive or negative, or even neutral. Remember, creation is not a duality, it's a trinity. There's always a center point. Yes? So, take it on a case-by-case basis. For some individuals, yes, it might automatically uplift them. Others, it might not, because of the belief systems they bring with them into that environment that need to be pointed out to them by the environment, by the energy of the environment, that may make them think they have to go away for a while and deal with what they discovered about themselves by going into that environment to begin with. This is one of the things that actually happens in the vortex of Sedona. It amplifies and magnifies whatever you bring with you into it, positive and negative, so that it forces you to deal with those things more concretely. Yes?
Fascinating.
It's a magnification, amplification vortex that's connected to many other vortices as well, in a variety of ways. It's one of the reasons, again, why our ship is over that particular vortex, because we're helping to regulate the flow of energy in that vortex so that your ride from third to fourth density doesn't have to be so jarring. We're helping to smooth it out a little bit for you.
Thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
Could I ask you, you said it's on a case-by-case basis. Could I ask you specifically for myself?
Are you attracted to be more in nature?
At times, yes.
Then at those times, the answer is go there. Remember, attraction happens for a reason. Yes? Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that because you're attracted to some place, you're going to go there and feel all flowers and light. It may mean that you know from another level that you need to attract yourself there so that you actually can be put in touch with a fear-based belief more directly, so you can deal with it and let it go. But there's always a reason for the attraction that serves you if you use it that way. If you know that, you will get the beneficial experience out of it if you know that. Yes?
Yes.
So even if you discover a fear-based belief that comes up, please remember, one of the tools in the kit of passion is what we call the reflective mirror. It reveals to you, as you're acting on your excitement, a belief that you may be harboring that is out of alignment with your excitement. And therefore discovering something within you, and even for the moment feeling something within you that is out of alignment with your excitement, is not an interruption in your excitement. It's part of your excitement to discover those things. That's how you need to look at it in order to get the benefit of the experience. Otherwise, if you find that you're skipping along, having fun, following your passion, and suddenly, bang, that negative fear-based belief comes up, and if you define it as an interruption or a block, of course, that's how you'll experience it. But if you go, aha, the reflective mirror shows me something I need to know so that I can understand myself more clearly and I can find out what that belief is and why I would hold on to something that I know doesn't serve me and let it go so I can add that energy, that momentum to my joy. Thank you, fear-based belief, for bringing it to my attention. For fear is the messenger knocking at your door to tell you something's out of alignment. The sooner you pay attention, the sooner the fear goes away. And now you become curious, investigating. Oh, what could it be? I wonder what it is. Let me find out. Let me dig deep. Let me discover more of myself. Let me streamline and let go of that which is no longer relevant for me so I can become more of myself. Thank you, fear. The more you ignore it, the louder the knocking gets, the stronger the fear becomes because you're not using it up, and therefore it has nowhere to go but to bounce back in an amplified way until you pay attention or die of fright. But one way or another, you'll get the point that there is something to pay attention to. And in the moment those kinds of revelations come up, there is nothing more important to pay attention to and nowhere more important to be. Deal with that. That's why it's there. That's part of the process. The process is the point. As you say, the journey is the destination. There is nowhere more important you need to be than what's happening here and now, because that's all there is. That's all there is here and now. Past and future are illusions. They're just other different here and nows going on at the same time on a different frequency. Is this helping?
Extremely. Thank you so very much.
You are so very welcome.
Thank you.